Chapter 23, Claws That Cut Deep. Why you are never going to be prepared for a slasher encounter in the Backrooms. I woke up under the bed with no memory of where I was or what happened. My entire body was extremely sore as I groggily crawled out from under the bed. What happened? I mumbled as I slowly got to my feet in the dark room. The air around me was cold, and there was a sense of uneasiness that still remained even after the creature had gone. The monster, I said as my eyes darted over to the door. My breath caught in my throat as I saw the deep gashes embedded deep in the wall, the creature possibly having sharpened its claws on its way out using the rough concrete that made up the building. I looked around the room I was in, struggling to see in the dark as I tried to take in my most recent surroundings. The bed I was under was completely destroyed. The mattress was shredded to pieces, the fluffy material inside littering the bedspread and the floor. It did that? I cried, my heart jumping to my throat once again as I stared at the shredded mattress that was just above me when the creature had searched the room. Sorry, I had to take a deep breath. The deep claw marks in the mattress were almost unrecognizable, due to the state the mattress was in after the creature attacked it out of pure frustration. The scratch marks in my back burned as I stretched, the sound of my body cracking and popping as my bones and muscles moved for the first time in hours, filling the room as I floated down the hallway. I looked around, letting myself relax a bit as I searched for a light switch. Maybe there's supplies in these rooms, I muttered as I walked over to the dresser on the opposite side of the room, opening the top drawer to reveal a beat-up flashlight. Sorry, got a notification that distracted me. Already? I cried as I grabbed the flashlight from its spot inside the dresser and flicked the power button. The flashlight flickered before turning on, sending a dim beam of white light to the left wall as it lit up a small section of the room. I powered the flashlight back off, smiling as I slid it into my back pocket. If only I had a backpack, then I wouldn't have to put all this stuff in my pockets. I wish that wretch hadn't taken it previously, I said to myself as I opened the next two drawers. The two middle drawers had nothing but dust and mold inside of them, possibly having no purpose at all compared to the top and bottom drawer of the dresser. I pulled open the bottom drawer to find a roll of gauze and a set of batteries. Yes! I cried as I grabbed the gauze and put it next to me on the ground. The air grew colder as I looted the rest of the drawers, grabbing batteries and scraps that I could possibly use at one point as I scoured the room for resources. I stopped at the foot of the bed, gripping the gauze in my right hand as I looked around. There doesn't seem to really be anything else here, I said softly as I stared at the set of sliding closet doors in front of me. I glanced around nervously, my eyes landing on the shredded mattress just a few feet away from me as memories of my close encounters with death on this level flooded my mind. I swallowed, staring at the half-open door that led out of the room as my throat went dry. I have to go out there. Even if that thing is smart and patient enough to wait for me there could be more supplies, I said as I began walking for the door. My head spun, my vision blurring a bit as a painful headache started up. The sound of my gym shoes walking on the carpet floated through the door and down the hallway as I stopped in front of the doorway. Every muscle in my body screamed at me to stop as I slowly pulled the door open even more, letting more light into the room as I peered out into the hallway. My eyes stung as they slowly adjusted to the intense change of lighting before my vision cleared, allowing me to properly scan the hallway ahead for threats. The hound? I choked as I stumbled back into the room. The door swung open a bit more as my heels dug into the carpet. The mutilated body of the hound remained unmoving in the hallway, its darkish blue blood staining the walls and floor around it as the deep scratch marks embedded in its body showed an even bigger threat was out there. That thing did that? I cried as I stumbled back over to the door, looking into the hallway again. The scratchy red carpet was stained with dark blue splotches as the hound's body lay rotting away on the ground of the 7th floor hallway. I stared at the mutilated corpse in horror, my eyes staring directly at the scratch marks that went through the hound's entire body. That thing's claws cut deep, I mumbled fearfully as I stepped into the hallway. There were no windows, so I didn't know what time of day it was, but I needed more supplies, creature of death or not. Just go to the next room over, I choked as I continued to stare at the shredded body of the hound up ahead in the middle of the hallway. I fumbled with the doorknob on the door to my left before pushing the door open, entering the room directly next to the one I was hiding in. The overpowering stench of mold and rotting carpet hit me like a truck as I staggered back. Holy shit, this room stinks! I choked as tears filled my eyes. I stared into the darkness and observed the interior of the room I had to enter next, spotting multiple items I possibly needed. I really need supplies, though. I'm not going to escape the creature on this level if I'm starved to death or dehydrated, I said sternly as I entered the room. Sorry. The floorboards under the carpet creaked as I walked across the room, making my way to the dresser on the far wall. I slipped the flashlight out of my pocket and turned it on, shining the dim blue... Damn, I'm sorry. It took 5 minutes for me to mess up. I slipped the flashlight out of my pocket and turned it on, shining the dim beam of light in the direction of the dresser as I blindly walked through the darkness. Dust and mold spores filled my nose as the urge to sneeze came over me, causing me to slow down and scrunch my nose. No, don't sneeze, I muttered as I tried to hold back the oncoming loud noise that would alert any nearby entities. I sniffed, making it worse as I shook my head fearfully. Within seconds, I couldn't hold back anymore, my head jerking forwards as I sneezed loudly. My eyes blurred as I grew lightheaded. I told you not to sneeze, I said to myself angrily as I looked around, shining my flashlight towards the door. I stared at the doorway with a growing sense of dread as the sounds of movement filled the air. I darted over to the dresser, crouching down as I clicked off my flashlight. The room was bathed in darkness as I stared at the open door, watching the hallways for any sign of life as I looked ahead dreadfully. The wooden legs of the dresser dug into my waist as I crouched down in the shadows, waiting for death to come prowling as I listened carefully. The distant sounds of movement grew fainter as whatever creature lurked within the very halls I was exploring gave up searching for the source of the noise. I waited for a few minutes, remaining crouched in the corner as I stayed to confirm the coast was truly clear. Fucking idiot, I muttered to myself as I slowly got to my feet. My calves and thighs burned as my head spun, a powerful wave of lightheadedness taking over me as I stumbled, almost losing my balance as my body adjusted to the sudden changes. I gripped my flashlight in my right hand, hesitantly flicking it back on as I turned to face the dresser. The old wooden drawers were covered in a layer of unidentifiable bacteria, possibly a species of mold only found here, and the brass knobs were covered in an almost black layer of grime. Moment of truth, I mumbled as I opened the first drawer. The top compartment was empty, making me exhale through my nose angrily. I opened the second drawer, revealing a pile of broken glass. This room has jack shit, I said angrily as I opened the next drawer. Nothing. I stared at the bottom drawer, crouching down slightly as something deep in my mind told me it wasn't worth opening. Final drawer, I said hesitantly as I wrapped my fingers around the brass knob and pulled, opening the drawer. Holy shit! I cried as a beat-up combat knife with a black rubber handle revealed itself, the weapon sitting in the darkness as it laid in the back corners of the drawer. There's no fucking way, I said as I grabbed the knife handle and lifted it out of the drawer, shining my flashlight beam over as I stared at the weapon in my hands in awe. I knew there were weapons here. I fucking knew it, I cried as I turned the knife over, staring at the sharp metal blade as I grinned with excitement and pure pride. My legs felt weak as I stood up, gripping the combat knife tightly in my left hand as I shined my flashlight over the bed next to me. The covers were matted and torn, as if something had shredded them at some point, and the mattress is a sickeningly dirty yellow. I guess it was kind of worth it, I muttered as I glanced down at the knife in my hand, still getting over the intense shock I felt when I first saw the helpful weapon lying deep in the back of the dresser's bottom drawer. I stared ahead, shining my light at the closet doors at the far end of the room before snapping out of it. If I want to continue making progress, I need another supply bag, I said to myself sternly as I reminded myself of my main goal. Fuck, I heard something in the dark, damn. Fucking 10 o'clock at night. I exited the room slowly, clicking on my flashlight as I entered the hallway, glancing around nervously as I scanned for any threats. The room across from the one I was in should be fine, I said as I quickly crept across the hallway, pushing through the door straight across from the room I had just left as I entered the next apartment. The air was heavy and dense, and the stench of dust and old furniture filled my nose. Every single one of these rooms stinks, I muttered as I scrunched my nose, trying to get used to the sudden change in smell. I held the knife at the ready as I slowly crept through the darkness, not wanting to turn my flashlight on again until I could be sure the room was empty. Anyone? I said softly as I looked around. The room is completely void of life, the thick, dense air seeming to have been the result of the apartment being left alone for years upon years. Nope, should be safe, I mumbled as I flicked my flashlight on, shining the dim beam of light at the closet doors. The sounds of snarling came from behind as I whipped around. The bed! My mind screamed as I came face to face with the hound. The creature had locked eyes with me, staring me directly down as it prepared to attack. Don't move, I said to myself as I maintained eye contact, gripping my combat knife tightly. The hound snarled before jumping at me, its clawed feet aimed at my neck. I dove to the side, swinging the combat knife as I rolled to the ground. The blade cut through the hound's chest with ease, splattering blue blood all over the side of the bed and the floor. The hound yelped in pain as it crashed to the ground, the gash in its chest pouring blood all over the carpet. The hound snarled angrily, its thirst for blood now unstoppable as it lunged at my neck with the razor-sharp teeth. I rolled to the right, swinging my knife at the hound's neck as it kicked back, losing its footing as the blade sliced through its main arteries. Blue blood splattered onto the walls as I scrambled to my feet. The hound snarled angrily before whimpering in pain, the 2 deep gashes in its body causing it to begin to bleed out. "That's what you get, you stupid bitch!" I cried as I stared down at the creature with the thirst to kill. "For ruining my fucking life!" I screamed as I lunged forward, slashing outwards with my blade torn in the hound's face and neck. Its blood splattered onto my clothes and face as I swung one last time, slicing through the hound's chest as I sunk my blade deep into its heart. The hound's body went limp as its blood pooled around it. The creature laying dead as the life left its soulless black eyes. It's what every one of the fucking creature in this place fucking is gonna deal with. Damn, I ruined it. I'm sorry. That's what every fucking creature in this fucking place is going to deal with. I'm fucking done with this place. I cried as I stared at the lifeless body in front of me, gripping the blood-covered combat knife tightly as I panted heavily. My chest heaved as I snapped out of my blind rage, stumbling back as I stared at the body of the hound that lay near my feet. Deep slashes and cuts covered the body of the creature as its blood soaked everything around it. Its eyes stared lifelessly ahead, its blank stare aimed at the wall to my left. Shit. Fuck what? Shit. God. Did I just do that? I choked as I dropped. I keep hearing fucking noises, dude. I choked as I dropped the knife, the blood-covered blade falling to the ground as I fell to my knees. My head spun as I stared at the cut-up corpse in front of me, my throat going dry as I choked back tears. What? What is this place doing to me? I choked as I stared at the mutilated body that laid a few feet away. My chest heaved as I grabbed the knife off the ground, gripping the rubber handle tightly as I leapt to my feet. "I need to get out of here," I cried as I hastily looked around in the darkness. The shadows surrounding me began to feel heavy and painful as I sprinted through the door. "I need to get out of here," I repeated, my head spinning as thousands of emotions poured into me at once. Tears streamed down my face as I blindly ran into the hallway, kicking off the ground as I darted straight down the empty corridor. My feet slapped the carpet as the hound's blood began to dry into my clothes. "I need to get out of here," I choked as my throat ran dry, my mind going numb as my heart pounded furiously in my chest. "I need to get out of here. I need to get out of here," I repeated. What the fuck? I repeated. Sorry, that is a typo. I'm deleting it. I repeated, my voice sounding completely dead and lifeless as I stared blankly ahead at the door leading into the stairwell. I ran past the mutilated body of the hound that got caught by the scratcher, my shoes becoming stained with the creature's blue blood as I sprinted past the shredded corpse. "I need to get out of here," I said as I slammed into the door, pushing through the doorway as I ran into the stairwell. I gripped the combat knife tightly in my right hand as I sprinted down the stairs, my feet slapping the cold concrete as I hurriedly made my way down the staircase. I slowed down as Fuck, I'm so close to the end, dude. I slowed down as my lungs burned, entering the first floor stairwell as I burst through the lobby door. "Shit," I said as I muttered as my heart caught in my chest. The slasher from before stood in the lobby, hunched over the mutilated body of an unidentifiable entity that was likely caught by it the night before. I gripped the combat knife as I darted Man, I wouldn't be surprised if people clicked off the video by now. It's like the climax and I fucked it up. I gripped the combat knife tightly as I darted right, running along the far wall as I made my way to a set of double doors. The slasher howled, sending chills down my spine as its chilling cry pierced the air. It dropped the mutilated corpse in its hands and turned. Its eyes locked on the stairwell doors as they slammed shut. The loud crash echoed through the lobby as I slipped through the set of double doors, and then closed behind me as I darted down a dimly lit hallway with crumbling concrete walls. "I need to get out of here," I said fearfully as the sounds of the slasher quickly approaching the doors I had escaped through filled my ears. The sounds of my footsteps echoed down the empty hallway as I approached a left turn. "I can't let it see me," I said to myself as I darted left, tripping over my own feet as I crashed into a dead end. The air around me changed in temperature massively, the air becoming dense and humid as I went through the wall, somehow transporting me to somewhere else as everything went dark. y'all ain't ready for what's coming next, dude. Y'all ain't ready.